in Congress, we still have more members who are calling for the resignation of Eric Holder, and Matthew Boyle from the Daily Caller joins us to talk about it. Matthew, good evening, sir.
How's it going, Tim?
It's going very well. All right, well, you know, I think Media Matters for America is now calling this a one-man quest to try to get Eric Holder forced out of office. You have been, I would call it, you've been doing your job. You've been calling members of Congress and asking them what they think about Eric Holder and whether or not he should resign. And we now have, we're up to what, 56 members of Congress?
57 now.
57.
Ben Quayle is 57 as of late yesterday.
Wow.
And yeah, I have to say I'm honored that Media Matters would honor me with such a unbelievable title like that. I think it's great that they're complimenting my reporting. I mean, I don't know. Last time I checked, I didn't think it was a bad thing to call members of Congress and ask them a question. So I think that's what we're supposed to do. So.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought a reporter's job was. Now, as you've been asking this question to members of Congress, Matthew, you know, obviously you've been doing this over a period of time. Have you seen or heard or felt like the reactions that you've been getting from members of Congress, have they gotten more fed up as time goes on? I mean, I watched that exchange between Ben Quayle and Eric Holder on the House Judiciary Committee last week, and it was really interesting because, you know, Ben Quayle clearly was not in a mood to listen to Eric Holder try to wriggle out of the questioning that he received.
Right, exactly. Actually, Ben or Congressman Quayle actually just asked Mr. Holder, there's more than 50 congressmen calling for it. At that point in time, Congressman Quayle had not called for his resignation. And Congressman Quayle asked him, Mr. Holder, there's more than 50 congressmen calling for your resignation. Are you going to resign? And he says, I have no intention of resigning. And I think, a lot of what this is that you're starting to see, there are members of Congress who are starting to get a little bit more frustrated with the lack of response from the administration. I mean, Holder admitted during the hearing that he's still withholding emails. He's still withholding documents and still holding stuff back that's either a part of the congressional subpoenas or not. But he's still withholding documents. He's still withholding witnesses. He won't agree to testify voluntarily before the House Oversight Committee. And yeah, I mean, what you're noticing here, what you're seeing here is that members of Congress are starting to get fed up with it. That's the sense that I get from calling them.
Have you heard anything, Matthew, about the testimony from Dennis Burke yesterday? Apparently he was in town giving some testimony behind closed doors.
I haven't personally looked into that yet. I'm going to take a look at that one in the next couple of days. But another thing, too, that I've noticed about the congressman and now a couple senators as well calling for Holder's resignation is that a lot of them, they don't follow this issue on a day-to-day basis because they're not on the Oversight Committee or the Judiciary Committee, and they've got to deal with other issues. But now, as this gets more attention, and as this is flaring up on Capitol Hill, it's becoming more and more of an issue because the Justice Department continues to refuse to provide this information to the congressional committees, and the Attorney General refuses to hold anybody accountable, which then they automatically look at this and they say, well, if you're not going to hold anybody else accountable inside the Justice Department, does that mean you're accountable? And that's a lot of what's going on right now. So these congressmen are starting to get their bearings on this. And you gotta realize too that they're handling multiple issues at the same time. This isn't the only thing that they're able to do.
Right.
So they're having to deal with the payroll tax stuff. They're having to deal with the healthcare stuff. They're having to deal with the EPA stuff. They're having to deal with all these different things at once. And this is becoming an issue that they're dealing with. So.
I don't know if you saw the release that Senator Grassleys' office put out late today. A headline: Why didn't the Justice Department talk to the ATF whistleblowers? And in essence, Senator Grassley is saying that when these whistleblowers came forward, the ATF field agents, they were shut down. He says, when the Office of Legislative Affairs sought information to respond to my inquiries, it did not ask the brave whistleblowers what happened. Instead, it simply relied on the self-serving denials of the senior officials at ATF headquarters, the criminal division in D.C., and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Arizona. In other words, the department took the word of the very officials the whistleblowers alleged had mismanaged the situation in the first place without getting both sides of the story. Now,
well, this is the same kind of behavior that we've seen throughout this entire investigation, throughout this entire scandal, is that the administration looks like it's covering something up. Even if they're not, they are definitely good at giving off the impression that they're covering something up. And, you know, when they've handled other scandals in this administration and in other administrations, the thing you do is you go to the people who know what they're talking about and you ask them. This administration has either admitted that it's incompetency by not doing that, or it's trying to cover something up. And I mean, that's the either or again, and that's exactly what's going on here. Is that why not just go and talk to them? And who knows if they did or not, because at this point there's been so many different statements that the Justice Department's made that have turned out to not be true or to be misleading.
Right.
You know, another thing too is that another major theme too that just came out this week is that the spokesman for the for Mexican President Felipe Calderon came out and said that the Justice Department lied again. With the statement that the Justice Department was claiming that the DEA told them everything about worked with Mexico on that money laundering thing that Congressman Issa expanded his investigation into. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's lots of inconsistencies that are coming out here, left and right, all over the place. And this is the kind of thing that, like, it's starting to catch the attention of everybody in Washington. And you know, more. Washington is usually a little bit behind the rest of the country, so they're catching up, and they're catching up fast.
All right. Well, listen, Matthew, glad you could join us tonight, sir, and look forward to talking again very soon.
Yeah, thank you so much, Cam.
All right, Matthew Boyle joining us from the Daily Caller here on NRAnews.com and Sirius XM Patriot.